Well, last week, many Vodacom clients were taken by surprise as Vodacom announced increases to their data offering. Some consumers say that unilaterally changing a contract is not binding. However, legal experts say Vodacom has not broken any laws with this increase and that it's all in the terms and conditions. For a discussion on this, I'm joined by our studios in Cape Town by Russell Luck, who's technology attorney at Swift Tech Law. Russell, thanks for your time this evening. Just explain to us why it's okay for Vodacom to do this.
Hi, Siki. Great to be back on Moneyline. There are two kind of frames to this. In Vodacom specific contracts, they often have clauses in them which give Vodacom a right to vary its terms as well as its prices, which could range from things like inflation to an unforeseen change in costs. So that's the one issue. On other types of contracts, which people don't realize, but very often there are contracts which can be updated on a unilateral basis. The question is whether the courts would then enforce those terms if the provider tried to sue the consumer, and that's something we have yet to see.
Yet to see happen. And we'll get to that in a moment, under what conditions a court would generally find in favor of consumers. But we all know on a contract basis, you're on a 24-month contract, for example. So I think the ire of consumers has been around, they didn't think that you could change the terms of those contracts in the time that they enforce, so the 24 months, that any change in the terms then changes the agreement between the two parties. Are you saying that that is not in play here?
It's a very interesting issue because on the one hand, consumers are saying, if you're changing our contractual terms to make our contracts more expensive, then why can't we change our contractual terms to just pay less for the same service? And on Vodacom's side, they are saying that due to unforeseen costs, things like load shedding and cell phone cancellations, the price hike is unavoidable. What Vodacom do offer you, to my understanding, and what they have to offer you under the Consumer Protection Act, is an opt-out clause. So if they were to unilaterally change the terms and hike prices, you're given a period of approximately 20 days in which you can cancel that contract. What you don't often see in the fine print, and this is the consumer outrage, is that you normally have to pay roughly 75% of the whole contract value if you're going to cancel. And that's why consumers are kind of locked into the price hike.
Do we know if there are specific conditions under which a court would actually find in favor of consumers?
Also, once again, there are two sides to this coin. Section 52 of the Consumer Protection Act grants a general discretion to the Consumer Tribunal to change certain terms based on fairness, justice and equity. Now, that's a lot of discretion on the courts to basically overrule any consumer practice that it deems unreasonable. And generally speaking, the Consumer Protection Act was made for these kinds of situations, where Vodacom, which is a massive corporate, which has deep and long-standing effects on like most of the consumers in South Africa, that they can't make decisions which affect people's lives, and particularly vulnerable people's lives, people who earn minimum wage, for example.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time today. Russell Luck is technology attorney at Swift Tech Law.